Welcome back to the Work of Wellbeing podcast. I'm Amy Green, your host from The Wellness Strategy, and we're here to talk about all things personal and professional wellbeing. This podcast is designed to help you become curious and consider your everyday wellbeing strategies, what you do for your own wellness, and how you can start to transform your life both in and out of the workplace. Sit back, grab a cup of tea, maybe grab a notepad, a journal, and get ready to feel really enlightened about what wellbeing used to be, what it is now, and where you can take your own wellness strategy. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't matter how much I talk about wellbeing, personal or in the workplace, we still don't get it. And so in this episode, what I really want to do is highlight some of this because I feel like I'm repeating myself. And I know sometimes we've got to repeat ourselves for the message to land, but sometimes people are so surprised by what I share and say, and I don't think it's new anymore. I just think we're still wanting a different message or a different answer. It's not coming. There isn't a one size fits all. There isn't a quick fix. There isn't something everyone can do. There isn't something I can give you to make it better or to make it right. We have to do some work. And I think I get a little bit disillusioned maybe because I know people want to do the right thing, but then in action, we're not translating. So let's do some hard truths, shall we? So often I see people nod along in what I'm talking about, in what I'm sharing, in what I'm unpacking when it comes to talking about staff wellbeing in the workplace, and even sometimes personal wellbeing. You know, we talk about resilience, we talk about boundaries, we talk about emotional regulation, that we need to rest. We roll out positive psychology strategies and we expect them to stick, to work for everyone in the same way, but that's just not how it is. And so we skip the most important step, the system, the processes, the things that really matter. And the truth is, many of the biggest barriers to wellbeing in the workplace aren't individual, they're actually structural. And so they're hiding in plain sight. They're hiding in our calendars, they're hiding in job descriptions, they're hiding in the inefficiencies of how we work. They're put into the day-to-day operations and we don't even realize. And what we're doing instead is we're waiting for a yoga class, we're waiting for wellbeing week, we're waiting for a meeting to be cancelled, and we're waiting for workload to reduce. And I get it. These things can add value, but they're not necessarily the answer. And I think the other piece too is sometimes a leader is waiting for the individual to do their thing and the individual is waiting for the leader or workplace to fix the thing. It's a top-down, bottom-up, middle-out approach. It can't be one or the other. It doesn't work like that. But what I am going to say, super plainly so you get it, is that in a workplace, if you're relying on the individual to do the work for themselves and they're doing it, but you haven't addressed workload, it's not enough. You can't support well-being if you're not willing to address workload. You can't support well-being if stress is an accepted part of the role. And I don't mean like day-to-day stress, because normal stress is part of coping with normal stress is part of well-being, but I mean the constant stress of just living in a cycle. You can't rethink well-being if you're not prepared to think about how you support people to work. You can't support well-being if you're not prepared to think about how your workplace or school operates. You can't support well-being if you keep doing things the same way. It's not going to work. Now, education specifically is running on a completely outdated system. And the excuse of this is just how it's always been, or we can't change it because the system won't let us, it's not good enough. I am in schools a lot and I talk to lots of people doing different things and I see things, and we can do better. We absolutely can do better and we can do things. We don't need to wait for the system. Now, what I also want to share, hard truth, is that you can teach every wellbeing and positive psychology intervention under the sun, from breathwork to journaling to sleep hygiene to eating for energy. But if job demands outstrip this and outstrip the time and the resources and support, then nothing will change. It doesn't matter how well we are internally resourced. If job demands and expectations and pressures don't shift and outstrip this, it's not going to work. You see, it's not just an individual problem when it comes to looking at well-being, staff well-being, workplace well-being. It's not about trying harder. It's not about doing better. It's about reflecting on unsustainable systems. And unfortunately, the world has kind of set us up for this in a way, and we didn't realize, because there are many things we didn't grow up with. Now, I turned 40 this year, and I think about, I was in school 25, 30 years ago, and more 35 years ago. And there were so many things that we know now that matter to well-being that we didn't get exposure to. We weren't taught about emotional health and regulation. We weren't modeled healthy boundaries. We weren't raised to value rest or to know how to do it. We weren't taught about healthy resilience and coping. But now we're expected to teach it and live it and model it while upholding a broken system that doesn't align with what we're teaching students and young children. And so these demands are impossible for us to meet, whilst also trying to figure out what we weren't taught when we went to school that we know matters. We ask educators to care, but not too much. We ask them to be available, but also have boundaries. We ask them to be resilient, but also immune to pressure. It's contradictory, it's exhausting, and it's not working. I'm going to say that again. We are asking our educators to care, but not too much, not so much that it impacts on their health and well-being. I mean, how does that even work? We ask them to be available all of the time, just in case that emergency email pops up or we need you, but also please have boundaries. We ask them to be resilient and just try harder and to go for a walk when the pressure feels like too much, but also we want you to be immune to pressure because it's part of the job. The messages are contradictory. In fact, it's just downright exhausting. And it's not working. You want to know why we have a teacher shortage? Because the system isn't designed to support us. We are trying. We can't try when there's too much pressure. It just becomes unsustainable. And so if we are serious about supporting the well-being of educators, we need to get serious about change. And so this is what it means. It means examining the intensity of a school term. It means questioning the mismatch between accountability and support. We want you to do X, Y, Z, and we want you to figure it out now. We'll support you in the aftermath when you feel like you're not coping and everything's falling apart. Not okay. We need to rebuild systems so they allow for things like clarity and autonomy, along with, now autonomy only works with support, it only works with clarity, it only works with accountability. And we also need collaboration. We can't do it alone. And we need to be honest about what well-being means at work and what it really involves. It's not about morning teas, fruit bowls, or yoga. It is about making sure we can work sustainably. Now, positive psychology has immense value. PERMA has value as well, but it is not the full solution. If you are shoving positive psychology interventions or even PERMA down your staff's throat and saying, just think positive, go and do more fun activities, go and rest, when they're already burning out and you haven't addressed the systemic issue, and when I say systemic, I don't mean the system, I mean systemic in a school environment, it's not okay. We don't need another session on self-care. We actually need to consider, why are we depleted? Why are we stuck in this loop of depletion and thinking it's normal? And rather than just getting through the stress and thinking, you know what, we've just got to survive another term, we need to ask, how do we do it differently? And another truth for you, the work of wellbeing isn't always pretty. It's not always quick. It's not always easy. We've got to ask uncomfortable questions. We've got to question the assumptions we have, and we've got to do the work. Because if we want something better, this is where we start. You know, we can't wait. We can't sit around thinking someone is going to come and rescue us, or there's a fairy godmother out there that's going to come and do the work for us. There isn't. Now, this is a little bit of a call to action. I want you to stop pretending that this is optional or individual alone. I want you to dig in and lead differently, whether you're a leader or an educator, whether you're listening as a team. This is something that requires true reflection and work. And one of the reasons I guess I'm on this little rant is because I stand in front of audiences all the time and I hear this. This sounds like it's work. It sounds like we're asking people to do more. Well, maybe initially, but how else are things going to change without work? If you want to be healthier and start a new exercise regime, it requires work. If you want to sleep better and build sleep hygiene practices, it requires work. If you want to set boundaries so that you have more time for yourself, it requires work. None of this is just going to happen. Wishing, waiting, and hoping aren't strategies. Work and action require doing something about it. And so I'm really sorry if you think that this is all just going to magically change. It's not. We are required to take some action ourselves, personally, professionally, as a team, individually, as a workplace, all of it. I'm not going to rant anymore about it, but I want you to really lean in and ask yourself, am I listening here? Or am I listening and hoping someone else is going to do it? Am I listening and actually thinking I'm just too busy? Am I listening and going, I'll do it later? I don't really know, but we need to come together and ask, how can we do this better? Because I don't think we're doing enough fast enough. And I'm not saying you're not doing enough, because we're doing the best we can, but we've got to lean into our beliefs and our assumptions and our stories. There are great things happening. Don't tell yourself you can't do it, because you absolutely can. All right, rant over. As always, if you need anything, you know how to find me. And Hopefully this has given you something to reflect on and think about. Have a lovely day, evening, night, whatever time of day it is, and I'll see you somewhere soon. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really do hope you have enjoyed it. The information discussed today was just that, information only. It's not specific advice. If you take action following something you heard today, it's important to make sure that you get professional advice about your unique situation before you proceed, whether that advice be legal, financial, accounting, medical, or otherwise. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or if there's anything else I can do to support your own wellbeing and wellness journey, whether it's another topic you'd like me to discuss or whether it's support in your school, workplace, or individually. And if you do know someone who might benefit from listening to this, please remember to tell them about it, share the episode with them, or suggest my Instagram, my website, or LinkedIn where they can find out more about me and what I do. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.